What's up, fight fans, and welcome back to the Vegas Odds Recap Show. We're here to recap UFC 273, and with me, as always, is my man Joe Danger himself, Jesse Hobson. What's up, man? How's it going?
Oh, it's going good. Ultimately, the fans won the night. Great outing, great showing from a lot of people. Questions were answered, new questions arose, and we're ready to talk about it.
Oh, absolutely, man. The entire event was just absolutely jam packed with action right from the start. Starting with Daniel Santos and and Julio Arce, and just keep working its way up. Everything was worth watching. Every single fight. It's going to be really, really hard to top this pay per view for the rest of the year. This is arguably the pay per view of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, like I think we said in the breakdown, each fight kind of improved on the next fight. So, like, if you there was never really a stale moment, but there was something to be excited for in every matchup. And not because we look at every one of these fights in a different way, but there was little storylines for every fight going into this. And I think that that's kind of what's going to be difficult to follow up the most, is that, like, even looking forward to next week, there's not that many storylines outside of the main event. So yeah, I mean, this was top to bottom a really good fight, or a really good fight card. But I saw a lot of people complaining that the prelims weren't that interesting, and I think that I thought that was kind of an odd take. I mentioned off air that I jumped into like a bunch of weird threads on Twitter, and that was one of them. I said, what are you really complaining about here? You're getting interesting fights, interesting matchups. This is why we watch this stuff. Like, it styles make fights, and there was styles for days last night, and personalities. It was everything you could ask for in a card, prelims. I had nothing to complain about except for some of the judges' scorecards.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a bit as we go through a little bit of this card. But let's start on the top. Let's start with in the main event, the featherweight championship of the world. Alexander Volkanovski going in there and absolutely dominating Chan Sung Jung, the Korean Zombie, from bell to bell. Every single moment of that fight, Volkanovski was winning. There was not a moment at all that Korean Zombie was at all looking good. I mean, he was just getting beat to a bloody pulp. And that's kind of how I saw the fight going, to be honest. He looked everything like the minus 700, minus 600 favorite that he was. And honestly, he was the only one that looked his price tag on the entire card.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think one of the comments we made last week was that, was the price tag justified? Definitely. Yeah, it was. The only thing that I think Korean Zombie had going for him was walkout and his haircut. And his haircut, obviously, it never moved. It looked really good. It was a different look for Korean Zombie. It just isn't the Korean Zombie that we've came to love. And it's ultimately, as a fan, he has some of the greatest merchandise in the UFC. It was hard to watch. When they started saying, time to throw in the towel, I was like, yeah, we probably need to do that. But as a fan, I was like, damn, dude, like, I grew up watching this guy. Like, I remember buying his shirt. Like, it's just it's weird.
Yeah, it was hard to watch because, like you said, he's a legend in the sport, and it sucks to see him, get beat as bad as he did. But like, man, he got a beating for days. It was something that you can never really imagine. You would never think that Korean Zombie would ever get beaten that bad. I mean, he did get beat pretty bad against Ortega, but nowhere near as bad as that. I mean, that was impressive, and he could have finished him arguably in like the first, almost second round. But
Yeah.
he's just so damn tough. He wouldn't go down. And now the question lies: what's next for Alexander Volkanovski?
Yeah, I saw some weird names thrown up, like Josh Emmett. Nah, I don't like it. I mean, I want to see some fresh matchups for the guy, but I mean, it's he's incredible. Like, just, I want to see a risky fight, and obviously the riskiest fight is Holloway. Holloway is ducking him. Uh, you know,
Apparently.
supposedly. Yeah, but I mean, that's really the fight to make for me. Otherwise, I'm not really interested because he's that dominant. Like, I mean, the Brian Ortega fight was fun, but outside of him, handling the ground and getting out of those holds and submission attempts, it was his fight from top to bottom as well. Um, it's going to take someone special, and I think outside of Holloway, it's going to be a while till we see someone really challenge him. Sadly.
No, it's true. I don't see anybody at 145 really challenging Volkanovski other than Holloway. I feel like Holloway is the right fight to make. He's the only one that's come close. But after that, where do we go from there? The only thing I can see is moving on up, trying to
Yeah, that
go
would be
for
that would be fun.
try to be the double champ. I think that's the right way to go. I don't think he'd be, victorious. I don't think he would win it, but that's the right step up after Holloway if he beats Holloway. I think that's the only way to go because everyone else below him, I don't think has a snowball's chance against him. Let's just be honest. It's just the way
Yeah,
it
I
is.
agree. I agree. And like I said, he's a humble guy. He's a cool guy. His post fight speech was fantastic. He's cool, calm, collected, and he's a warrior. Uh, Korean Zombie is a test. So I mean, the fact, maybe not for him, but the fact that he handled him in the way that he did, it does showcase a particular set of skills. Yeah, I think you're right. The step up is the next move after Holloway. If for some reason Holloway does not come into fruition,
Right. It's gonna be interesting because literally anybody in the top five can get a title shot. I don't think either one of them would be victorious, but they could get a title shot. The only one that would be kind of interesting is if he comes back. I think he's completely done with fighting, and that's Magomed Sharipov.
asked Dana if he had talking to him, if he had spoke to him,
Oh
and
wow.
he said he had not. He said that the matchmakers might have, but he had not. So I thought that was an interesting question. So it's not only people are thinking about it, people are wondering.
Moving on to our next fight, which is in the co-main event, which is one of the most controversial fights on the entire fight card. For the Bantamweight Championship, Aljamain Sterling taking on Petr Yan and what was an absolute barn burner from bell to bell. Both guys went in there. It was a closely contested fight. Came down to the last little bit of this fight, and Aljamain Sterling just squeaked out the split decision win by winning round one. They didn't give Sterling a 10-8 round in rounds 2 or 3, but they gave him round 1.
Yeah, I was talking to a few people after this before I saw the scorecards, and I thought maybe that they were going to give him a 10-8, maybe in 2 or 3 or both. Me personally, I don't think he won round one, but it really could go either way depending on what you think you saw. I thought Yan won the fight ultimately. It was a great fight. We did get a educated, elevated, next level Aljo. And like I said in our breakdown, I thought the plus 400 was a good play to make. Well, did I make it? No. So I can't show you the receipts, but I thought Sterling was capable of winning, and obviously he proved that.
I made a bad bet on Jan. It is what it is, but striking was very, very lackluster. But that's just Sterling. He's not a great striker to begin with. He fought smart, even though he only landed 2 of 22 takedown attempts. But 2 times he got a takedown were rounds 2 and 3, and then he kept it there. And in that round 1, I just can't fathom how Jan did not win it because Sterling did not land anything worthwhile. He was the one that was always moving laterally and backwards. He never took a step forward. All that people were basing that round 1 on was, oh, he landed more strikes. He outlanded him by only 6 strikes. 6 strikes does not give you a round. And on top of that, the judges do not even see any statistics in terms of anything, strikes,
That's correct.
grappling, nothing. They don't see anything. So basing anything on stats is obsolete because the judges don't even see stats. So they're not basing it on stats. So you have to base it on what you're seeing and who was the one that was effective, who had the better effective striking and grappling, Jan. Who had the more octagon control, also Jan. So if you look at those two, technically Jan should have won round one. Just throwing empty strikes out there that are meaningless, like Aljo did, is going to win you a round while moving backwards the entire time.
No, I agree, and that's kind of why I thought the only chance that Aljo had was that if he got a 10-8. But then we'd be like in a draw situation, or it was just weird. Like he just had him in, with holding him with his legs, not doing much. What's the deal with him being a thug all of a sudden? Like I just don't get it. Like, okay, we understand you won. You won before, but now you won, rightfully so. You won the fight. You're turning on this like weird like voice that isn't you. It's not appealing to anyone. Don't change your persona based on the fact that you actually won. It's cool to talk shit to the other guy you beat. I did like as much as I don't want to see that fight, I did like the call out, and I like the way what he called him. I thought that was kind of cool. Dana did say that they got this fight wrong. He thinks that Yan won. So
right. Yeah, absolutely. I can't even be mad, to be honest. I just thought personally Jan won. I think he just was, he was the better fighter in round one. But ultimately, it was a close fight. I can't scream robbery because it's not. It was close.
Kind of moving on from the fight, I really don't want to see TJ Dillashaw fight Aljo. I mean, even though Dana did say that that's probably going to happen, I would rather see a trilogy, or I would rather see Sandhagen, a rematch with Sandhagen. I have this like weird vendetta against TJ Dillashaw.
That's my main reason why is I don't want to see it. I don't think Dillashaw at 38 years old right now, around that, has any chance of beating Aljo. Moving on to the people's main event, which was an absolute crazy slugfest fight of the night between Khamzat Chimaev and Gilbert Burns. A lot of questions were answered with Chimaev, and he went toe to toe with Gilbert Burns. And mind you, it was a very close fight, very hard fought fight. But he showed
he is human. Yeah, I think
that's for sure.
It was wild, man. This fight, everyone wins. It was just such a great moment. I'm sold on the guy. I think that he's going to have a hard time with Colby. I think that that'll be interesting. I like that matchup. I had forgotten that it was a 3-round fight because I was so invested in it. I thought Burns looked good. Like I thought Khamzat looked good.
To be honest, I thought Gilbert Burns was the underdog that could have won out of the top three. I thought Korean Zombie had the least amount of, a chance of happening, and rightfully so. But I thought Gilbert Burns had the top chance of spoiling, and he did. He almost did it in round two. And and Khamzat, he hasn't been pushed like that ever in his entire career. Now, do I think Colby beats Khamzat? I don't think so. Do I think Khamzat beats Usman right now? I don't think so. I don't think he beats Usman. I think Usman, he's just better. If Khamzat doesn't go in there and just grapple him and really wear him down, and I feel he definitely loses against like Usman, because Usman I think is a much better striker, and he could take a punch, and he's got arguably the most power in the entire welterweight division next to Khamzat. I would think so.
Yeah, I'm excited for both of those matchups. I have no idea what the hell is going to happen. It just really depends on which Khamzat we get in round one. I could see him starching both of those guys in round one, just depending on how he approaches round one. Obviously, those will both be. I would assume that Colby and his fight are going to be a 5-rounder because they're already talking about putting it on ABC. But yeah, that's going to be incredible. And I'm honestly even thinking about traveling for that one. As soon as that becomes a reality, they mentioned that there is a fight card coming up in Austin, and that would be something special if it was in Austin, because then I wouldn't even have to travel that far.
All right. But another fight I want to talk about that, I had a lot of interest in, and that's Mark Madsen taking on Vince Pichel. What a back and forth battle between these two. Everybody was the same narrative. Vince Pichel is going to take over late. He's going to beat him in round 3. Madsen's going to gas, so on and so forth. That was the narrative throughout the entire week. And I get it, because we've seen him slow down. We've seen him gas. He's been known to gas, and I completely get it. But you also had to take into account that he was where he was for the last 3 months, putting in the work, and he didn't have that in years prior. So now I feel like he's at his physical peak. He's starting to get better. His cardio's, getting better. His striking looked a lot better. He did slow down in round 2, but round 3 he got that takedown and then he sealed it. He sealed it with top control. I was like, wow, where the hell was this in the first 2 rounds? I think Pichel also had a cardio dump coming into that 3rd round, and that's really where he was able to get him off at that point.
Yeah, I agree. And I wasn't really sure what to expect going into this fight just because there were so many different storylines, different ideas, different takes. And yeah, I saw so many people taking Pichel after round 1. He looked great in round 2. I think Madsen kind of took round 2 off to kind of recuperate. And so we were going into round 3, 1-1.
Right.
I thought it was one of the best fights of the night, outside of the main 3. And we touched on this, but I really like both of these guys, especially my new boyfriend Pichel. Check out that romance that is happening via Twitter. But yeah, I thought it was a great fight. Both guys' stock, I definitely think, did go up. I would like to see Pichel fight more than once a year. Stay healthy, my friend. And Madsen, get better on the mic. You are definitely not an Olympian on the mic. Like, what the hell? You are insanely cringe, and we catch big on the dog. And yeah, Garrett called that one like he seen it, way early. So we got a great line, and yeah, I just couldn't have been happier.
Yeah, absolutely. At least that was one of the bright spots of my betting night. At least my 2 early plays kind of came in and cashed for me and my clients. It was Raquel Pennington at -170. She looked phenomenal against Aspen Ladd. She did exactly how I expected, and still not understanding what the new version of Aspen Ladd is doing. Like,
Yeah.
could you tell me this? Like, she was known for her grappling, her taking people down and ground and pound into submission. Now she's just standing there thinking she can strike with anybody, and she got tuned up in this fight.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't a boring fight, but that was because Rocky showed up.
Right.
Obviously these were our 2 big plays of the night, and I couldn't have been more comfortable. Yeah, I'm excited to see where Rocky goes from here.
I like the call out. The call out was a good call out.
Call out was good.
I think that was the right call out. Sarah McMahon is always pushing the pace, always coming to grapple. She's always being exciting. Whereas Aspen Ladd, what she did. That's not what Sarah McMahon's gonna do. And Rocky comes to fight too, so she's gonna come forward and she's gonna land some shots. She's gonna have to defend some takedowns. Do I think either one deserves a title shot after that though? Especially Sarah McMahon. I mean, she'd be coming off only 2 wins if she gets a title shot. But granted, if Pena beats, Nunez again, I guess you could give one of them title shot because who the hell else is there?
Yeah, well, it's definitely not Aspen Ladd. Where does she go from here? Like, what the hell are you doing? I wanted between rounds, I wanted to see her coach, and whatever feed I found, I had that. Her coaches do the best that they can, but she's just like, am I winning? And I'm like, dude, no. What are you doing? Ultimately, this fight for me, I wasn't really hyped on it. I don't think really anyone was, but yeah, Rocky came to play, and I mean, I was happy because of which, but yeah, Aspen Ladd, backseat, dude, change your game, go back to the drawing board. What the hell?
Yeah, that was not the Aspen Ladd that we've seen. But gotta touch base on some really good performances out of some fighters, and those fighters are Anthony Hernandez, Mike Malott, and Alexei Oleinik. Anthony Hernandez came in there and absolutely dominated Josh Fremd. Extremely impressive. He was able to do it over 15 minutes. He almost had a guillotine choke about 82 times in that fight, and he just looked great. That was arguably his best performance of his career, and we'll see where he goes from here. I like the Dricus Duplessis fight even more now, and I think that would be a lot closer than we first initially thought. And then Mike Malott, he absolutely knocked Mickey Cole unconscious. That was incredible. And the Scarful choke by Alexei Oleinik. What were your thoughts on all of that?
That fight was insane. I was impressed. I was impressed with Fremd just because he was able to get out. Talk about ready for the bright lights. Holy moly. Fluffy, you exceeded my expectations. I would like to see him fight my boy Mouth, Kevin Holland. I want to see a rematch of that just because this is the new and improved Fluffy. Alexei Oleinik cashed on the sub, you know.
I just couldn't believe that like Jared Vanderrod actually did that. Why would you try to take his
back?
As
soon as I saw that, I was already counting my money. I was like, this. As soon as he tried to sub him, I was like, this is not going to end well. Malat. So you know, obviously we talked about this round one. Round one is that dude, man. And I assumed that the hype killer could last one round, and that he didn't. Yeah, I still think those were the plays to make because I just maybe next time.
It's just a short left hook that made him face plant. It wasn't anything like crazy overextended. It was just quick, boom. That's how much power he has in his hands. His wins on the regional scene weren't fluffed up. I mean, being able to knock out Solomon Renfro the way he did, as well as, you know, Mickey Gall, that this dude is, I think he's for real.
I don't even know where Gall goes from here, you know, besides the ER. I'm excited to see where Malat goes because he could fight next week if he wanted to. He was untouched. He looked good.
I think a decent step up in competition would be warranted because I do think he has, you know, the capabilities of doing so. And we will be back on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on the breakdown to break down UFC Vegas, Bilal Muhammad versus Vicente Luque 2.
Follow me on YouTube. Look me up, Jesse Hobson. You can see the name here. Just look that up. I have a YouTube channel where I do unboxings and showcases of items that I purchase and get sent to me.
Well, we will be back Wednesday night, like I said, for the breakdown. Guys, please go like and subscribe to the Vegas Odds YouTube channel, and we will see you guys all next week.